St. John of the Cross. St. John of the Cross came to Carmel at the age of 20 in the year 1563. Even at a young age, many of John's biographers mention his great love and devotion to Mary. In fact, some recount how on multiple occasions Mary intervened in an extraordinary way to save the saint from almost certain death. After John's ordination to the priesthood in 1567, St. John came into contact with St. Teresa of Jesus, and he learned of her intent to reform the order. We know that John explained to her his intent to leave Carmel to join the Carthusians, but fortunately Teresa urged him to reconsider. It has been suggested that during this exchange, Teresa prevailed upon John's great love for the Mother of God, and this attraction to Mary helped him change his mind. If this suggestion is true, we could say that the Blessed Virgin not only brought St. John to Carmel, but also helped keep St. John in Carmel. St. John's Marian Doctrine. One might ask why St. John wrote so little about Mary directly, but in actuality, John's whole spiritual doctrine suggests an underlying Mariology. In his article, Mary and the Holy Spirit in the Writings of St. John of the Cross, Father Emmanuel J. Sullivan summarizes the matter neatly. He says, "For John, it is Mary who teaches us what constant intimate union with God means. It is Mary who shows us how to be responsive to the work of the Holy Spirit, molding us in the image of her Son. And it is Mary who teaches us how to pray, and who helps us to learn and grow spiritually from our sufferings, so that we might more readily respond to and ease the sufferings of others." St. John's Writings on Mary. Let us consider a few of the texts where St. John does mention Mary. We find this passage in the ascent of Mount Carmel. God alone moves these souls who have reached habitual union with God toward those works that are in harmony with His will and ordinance, and they cannot be moved toward others. Thus the works and prayer of these souls always produce their effect. Such were the prayers and the works of Our Lady, the most glorious Virgin, raised from the very beginning to this high estate. She never had the form of any creature impressed in her soul, nor was she moved by any, for she was always moved by the Holy Spirit. This text shows us immediately that the Blessed Virgin was raised to perfect union from the first moment of her birth, and it provides a clear basis for the Immaculate Conception. As the perfect glorious one, it shows the value of the prayers and intercessions of Mary. It also brings into focus her openness to the workings of the Holy Spirit, which is essential. Another reference to Mary occurs in the Living Flame of Love. It describes the Virgin's intimate union with the Holy Spirit. John writes, "When a person is covered by a shadow, it is a sign that someone else is nearby to protect and favor. As a result, the angel Gabriel called the conception of the Son of God, that favor granted to the Virgin Mary, an overshadowing of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you." The fact that John describes Mary as being overshadowed by the Holy Spirit makes it clear that Mary is near to the Holy Spirit. She is so near, in fact, that she is more closely united to the Spirit than any other creature. Summary. In an article entitled "The Marian Gospel of St. John of the Cross," Father Jose Vicente Rodriguez studies the dozen or so passages of St. John where there is an explicit or implicit reference to Mary. After completing his work, Father Jose offers us this useful analysis and summary. For St. John of the Cross, Mary is encountered not as a theological problem, but as a real person clearly present in the history of salvation. He notes that John always sees Mary in relation to Christ and in relation to his mystical body.